The White House reiterates Vice President Kamala Harris has no plans to visit the border.
178,000 encounters occurred. Those are the people we know about that ICE and Border Patrol agents actually came into contact with. What about the thousands, tens of thousands, could be 100,000 more that didn't come into contact with?
If she goes to the U.S. border, people are going to expect her to fix the problem, so she avoids it.
It is literally not possible to be at an all-time high for border crossings and at an all-time low for deportations. That is a policy decision, Jay, to not solve this problem.
What is the policy? Because I can't figure it out. We're going to get to the root cause, which, by the way, they again want to reiterate that root cause includes climate change. It's another source familiar with the ongoing discussions on the regional strategy said the vice president's office has been soliciting research on issues ranging from governance to economic development to climate change from foundations that study and work in the region. So again, this climate change as if that's affecting this mass migration through our borders.
I wish the vice president and president would come to the border. I'd be glad to welcome them there and so they can learn what I've learned talking to the experts, the Border Patrol, Health and Human Services, as well as the local officials and stakeholders who are bearing the burden of this open border policy of this administration.
There are multiple bipartisan proposals in the House and the Senate to send more judges down to adjudicate the pending processes. You know who opposes that? The Biden administration.
Well,
that's why that hasn't passed.
The vice president should be down at that border, understanding what is going on, talking to the law enforcement, talking to the men and women, talking to the sheriffs, talking to the ranchers, and understanding the impact that much illegal immigration per month is having on those communities down there.
Well, we know there's a lot of court dates out there. 3.2 million.
If you took every judge we had with every lawyer that could do these kind of cases, you would not make a dent into this in the next 5 years.
President Biden is getting ready for his first big face-to-face meeting this month with Russian leader Vladimir Putin.
Russian officials say, quote, the Americans must assume that a number of signals from Moscow will be uncomfortable for them, including in the coming days. This is in light of the June 16th summit between Biden and Putin.
Putin will be assessing, and he's not going to see Joe through the prism of the media mob and big tech. He will be assessing Joe Biden, and I'm pretty confident he'll come to the same conclusion that many of you have.
Putin is extremely confident that he can outmaneuver Biden, and this is an opportunity for the Biden team, is to come in and when you're the underdog, when people are not suspecting that you're going to be tough, have a couple of ways to really put them in the corner and show that somehow what appears to be weakness is not weakness.
Russia is also issuing other warnings ahead of this June 16th meeting, suggesting that there will be many signals in the coming days that the United States will find uncomfortable, specifically pointing to how they're beefing up of their military along their western borders.
Putin is a thug. He is an international bully, and part of the reason, like a lot of bullies, he's that way is because he realizes the Soviet Union is no more. His military is so much weaker than the United States and a lot weaker than NATO combined, and so he throws his weight around, and the only way you can really deal with a thug or a bully is to stand up to a thug or bully, and I'm not sure Biden's doing that.
The continuous expansion and activity of NATO, the fact that NATO still exists, frankly, has been a thorn in Russia's side for 20 years.
A country like Russia is just really, it's all about Putin and money and the oligarchs. It's a corrupt regime. It's not as ideological as you think. Their ideology is, how do we make the elites more money?
On the 19th of February 2018, at about 5:30 in the evening, 110 schoolgirls aged 11 to 19 were kidnapped by the Boko Haram terrorist group from the Government Girls Science and Technical College. 5 schoolgirls died on the day of the abduction, while others were released in March 2018, except the lone Christian girl, Leah Shuaibu.
Leah Sharibu has been denied her freedom for refusing to convert to Islam as a precondition for her release. Leah's birthday has been chronicled as a journey of broken promises.
Since 2013, we've actually done 17 submissions to the UN, pointing out the atrocities in Nigeria and specifically asking for Leah Sharibu's release.
Hopefully, someday, somewhere, the governments in Africa throughout the world, not just in Africa, but throughout the world where we make these interventions will come to and do something about the people who profess their Christian faith.
These are real people involved in these. And sometimes, and Jordan, you've done these interventions, Cece's done the oral interventions, we all have. You have to bring this up constantly.
You have to hold them to account and embarrass them. And that's what you do. I mean, a lot of the UN, for what the work we do is hold them account, make them look like the weak countries they are.
The work that the ACLJ did was very informative for our team at the State Department when we began to evaluate whether or not to designate them as a CPC, as a country of particular concern.
She's literally lost her childhood at the hands of terrorists, and Nigeria has done nothing. We continue to take every opportunity to point out human rights atrocities and typically taking on the underdogs. We don't stop advocating because we want to be the one voice that points this out.
The White House just officially ended the Remain in Mexico policy.
When they keep saying they want to get to the root causes of mass migration, we're wondering, are they the root cause for mass migration here?
They want to talk about root causes. The root cause is in the White House, not the Northern Triangle, because when you get rid of the Remain in Mexico, you get rid of the wall and you bring back catch and release, that's what explodes the migration.
They've officially put an end to the Remain in Mexico policy. We're talking about at least 68,000 people who were seeking asylum, who were told, okay, if you really believe that you've got an asylum claim to make, you have to wait in Mexico, and then when it's your turn to present your case, you'll be able to go through the legal process here. It's different than the immigration process. Now that that's been ended, I mean, what happens next? I mean, it's already out of control.
A 46-page draft blueprint obtained by the New York Times maps out the Biden administration's plans to significantly expand the legal immigration system, including methodically reversing the efforts to dismantle it by the former President Donald J. Trump.
They took the policies that we had put in place. It took us a couple of years to get it right. We had enforced our southern border. We had stopped the humanitarian crisis. We kept our national security intact. They are completely absent from this enormous crisis. We can't turn away. This is an enormous problem, and the administration has to take seriously its responsibility to secure American freedom and defend our borders.
Now, Republicans say you can't just continue to keep throwing money at this issue. They would like to see the re-implementation of some of former President Trump's policies, all in the name of national security.
The hard left of the Democratic Party is, pushing for defunding ICE. And what the ICE agents are basically saying, hey, look, they may not have defunded us, but they have hamstrung us. Our hands are tied because it's basically no enforcement. So they effectively have abolished ICE in a sense by their policies that they're putting in place, limiting what these agents can do.